All right, we're gonna get started here. I don't think they're gonna show up. Today we got like a one ranked team and one borderline ranked team in Princeton. They were actually ranked last week, but they lost to another ranked team, which is Memphis. Um, Princeton has a record of 3-2. They have lost to two ranked teams, and they've beat Houston, which is a ranked team. So they have some decent resume builders there. But they're looking to make a push towards the top of the American Conference, which in recent years has been pretty solid. Um, okay, I'm catching strays in the chat from Ferret. That's not okay, buddy. I don't think I've seen money from you this year, so okay. Central Florida, on the other hand, is a solidly ranked team, as they always are. They are pretty widely considered just the king of the ACC as of recent. They've kind of been dominating a very good Group of Five conference for many years now. They are 5-0 on the season and are looking to continue that with a win tonight. Out there for the coin flip, the home team is Central Florida, so Princeton gets to call the kick, or call the flip, not the kick. UCF will win, and they will elect to take it in the second half. So UCF will kick off to start the game, and David Jenkins will just boot it out of the back of the end zone, and we start at the 25. Princeton's Jack McPherson heads onto the field to lead the offense. And Central Florida, they are led by D lineman Emund Lee, who has, how many sacks does he have on the year? Does he have a sack this year? Crap, I think I used my export. No, I did not use my export. Central Florida, he has 3 sacks on the air, and a D line that has 9 sacks on the year already in 5 games, which is very high. So that's one of the points that Princeton needs to stop. They need to not get sacked a bunch in this game. Yes, UCF has 9 sacks in 5 games. All right. They head out onto the field, and Jack McPherson starts by snapping the ball and immediately handing it to Parker Garcia. Parker Garcia goes up the middle, but the ball is immediately punched out by the defense. The O lineman for Princeton is disciplined, though. Justin Postel falls right on top of it for a 5-yard gain. So it'll be 2nd and 5. Jack McPherson will hand it to Kendall Emer. He will get nothing as the D-line stuffs him right where he stands. And on 3rd and 5, they give it to Parker Garcia, trying to establish the run early. He will get 4 yards, almost a first down, but they'll mark him just shy. On 4th and 1, they will just punt. Justin Brown boots it 39 yards, and John Brown, the return man, will just fair catch it at their own 27. So Central Florida immediately starts with a stop on defense, which is big. As Greg Hughes hangs out there on the sideline, he will walk out and he will line up under center in the I formation. He'll snap the ball and immediately hand it off to Thomas Holcombe. Holcombe only gets 3 before being dragged down, so some O lineman woes here as they're not getting many yards per carry, both teams. Greg Hughes snaps the ball again. He'll hand it off to Jacob Johnson, and they will get a slight push, but they will get pushed back quickly after, as he only gains 3. And some little dilly-dallying on the field here for the offense, as they're not lined up. They take 15 seconds, 20 seconds off the clock. They're still not lined up. And as they finally get hurried up to the line to get lined up, there's some confusion, and UCF is forced to call a timeout to prevent the delay of game. So offenses on both sides are being a little bit slow here to start the game. And on 3rd and 4, they finally get the play call in. Greg Hughes snaps the ball, drops back under center, and he will fire it to Jacob Johnson over the middle. He catches it and turns upfield for another 5 yards, and it'll be a 20-yard gain into Princeton territory as the offensive slowness stops there. Princeton 47, Hughes back to pass. He fires it to Mike Hill, but it'll fall to the ground incomplete. On 2nd and 10, on the Princeton 47, the ball is snapped, but one of the offensive linemen is flagged for false start. Darian Johnson jumped early there, and it'll back them back into Central Florida territory. 2nd and 15. Greg Hughes snaps the ball, drops back to pass, but he gets immediately pressured, and he decides to just take off running, and a linebacker will get to him before he gets anywhere. He will get nothing on that play. He gets tackled at the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 15 on their own 48. There is 9:55 left in the game, and Greg Hughes will snap the ball, drop back again, and he'll just take a little safe route to Jacob Johnson, but the linebacker is going to miss a tackle here. He's going to juke another man, and he's down the sideline. He has so much room to run. He's to the 40, he's to the 35, he's to the 30, he's to the 25, he's to the 20, to the 15, 10, 5, and he gets pushed out at the 1-yard line. Princeton, with some horrible tackling woes, lets UCF right back in this drive, and they're immediately pressured on the end zone. Just a whole play there from the defenders of Princeton. Now in the red zone, on Princeton's 1, Greg Hughes will just hand it off to John Brown, and the defense was just not ready. He'll walk into the end zone, converting that huge missed tackle into 7. The linebacker for Princeton, James Bell, will be headed to the sideline. He's limping a little bit. He'll be taped up. Unlikely to return in this one. It does not seem serious, however. David Jenkins, extra point is up and good. 7-0 to start the game. 9:03 left. That's a Nebraska play right there. Yeah. That is. David Jenkins boots this one again out the back of the end zone, and Princeton is up against 7-0 already. But UCF making more mental errors as the D-line jumps off sides, and it'll be called a neutral zone infraction on Melvin Fox. So Princeton is gifted a free 5 yards. They'll take it, and they'll hand it off to Kendall Emer. He will find 13 yards and a first down to the 43. McPherson hands it off to Parker Garcia, but this time they get no push, and he will just be stuffed at the line of scrimmage for no gain. McPherson, again, hands it off to Parker Garcia, but this time he breaks it outside. He stiff arms a man and gets dragged out after 12 yards and another first down into UCF territory. Princeton's moving the ball now with a ground and pound attack as McPherson gives it to Parker Garcia again. He'll get 4 yards and get dragged down after 4. He'll hand it off again. They lose 1. And finally, on 3rd and 7, he'll drop back to pass, and it's successful. The defense bites on a play action, and he finds Dre Willis 20 yards downfield for a first down on the 22. Almost in red zone, Jack McPherson, again, they bite on the play action because Princeton's been running it so much, and he finds Trenton Carrion, who gets dragged down after a first down 11 yards downfield. So it's 1st and 10 on the 11. So they still have a first down that they could get, but they would rather just get a touchdown at this point. McPherson snaps it, and he fires it to Dre Willis, but the corner is all over him, and it drops incomplete. He'll drop back to pass, and the pressure gets to him, but he's able to get the ball out, and it falls harmlessly to the ground again. And on 3rd and 10, Jack McPherson, once again under pressure, fires it to the end zone, and it is caught by defender Andre Fangupo. He will be intercepted, and he just kneels the ball down, and Princeton, a huge mental error. He did not need to get rid of that ball. They could have taken 3. Instead, they give it back to UCF with nothing. 3:57 left in the quarter. Hughes snaps the ball, and he has just been on fire lately. He finds Jackson Williams for 13 yards before being tackled in the open field. And another first down. Greg Hughes snaps the ball, and he, again, just wide open. Jacob Johnson, 18 yards, and another first down for UCF as they're back into Princeton territory on the 49. Greg Hughes back to pass again. He could do this all night. They keep giving him the underneath. He keeps taking it. Jackson Williams catches it underneath, gets 13 yards upfield before being tackled for another first down. On the 36 now. Hughes back to pass. This time, no one's open as the defenders finally figure out how to cover people. He will just fire it out of bounds, and it'll be 2nd and 10. Hughes will get back to the line of scrimmage and snap it very fast. Flags fly for offside as a defender jumps. And Greg Hughes fires it 30 yards downfield to TJ Osborne, who jumps up and catches it for 30. And there's a flag on the defender for pass interference. So the offsides is declined. The pass interference... Oh no, the pass interference is on Jacob Johnson. They're saying Jacob Johnson set a pick for the defender on the corner on TJ Osborne. And they're going to bring it back to 10 yards to bring up 2nd and 20. So a little bit of a weird thing there that they didn't accept the offsides, but they get called for pass interference on the play with offsides. Yeah, that should be just overruling, right? Anyway, 2nd and 20. Hughes drops back to pass, and he just takes a little screen route to Jackson Williams, who gets tackled in the backfield. He will gain nothing on the play. And on 3rd and 20, conservative play call, they just give it to John Brown, get 7 yards. On 4th and 13, the Princeton 39, this will be a field goal from 50 plus if they decide to kick it, but instead they decide to just punt it into the end zone for a touchback. So Princeton takes over right near the end of the first quarter, down 7 on their own 20. McPherson back onto the field after his mistake. He will just take some easy plays. He'll just hand it off, and Parker Garcia will lose 1 yard, and that'll end the quarter. So at the end of 1, it's been a very eventful 7-0, but it's still 7-0. Jack McPherson hands it off again. Parker Garcia, he'll get 7 and bring up 3rd and 4. They'll hand it off to Parker Garcia. They'll continue this ground attack. He finds 13 yards after a big hole from the O-line and gets dragged down at the 39. First down. McPherson back to pass on this play, and he fires it to Trenton Carrion, but he gets absolutely smoked in the backfield after that throw. And they're going to throw a flag for roughing the passer on Melvin Fox of the defense. Completely unnecessary roughing the passer. Will cost them pretty much the end of the drive there. So it'll be 1st and 10 on the 46. McPherson back to pass. He'll complete it underneath to Trenton Carrion. He only gets 3. He'll be back to pass again. Another underneath throw to Parker Garcia. He only gets 1. So a little bit of a short passing game here for UCF, or for Princeton. McPherson again drops back to pass, and they continue giving him this underneath game, and he continues taking it. Xavier Harvey only gets 4 yards, and it'll bring up 4th down. So good defensive stand there for UCF, not letting him get past the first down line. On 4th and 2, in the opposing 38, Princeton decides they're going to go for it. And they go straight back to the trusty run. They hand it to Parker Garcia. And Parker Garcia goes right up the gut. He will get 3 yards and convert the 4th down. So it'll be 1st and 10 on the 35 now. McPherson continues with the ground game. They'll hand it to Emer for 2. They'll hand it to Frost for 6. And then Garcia for 7 and a 1st down. They'll then hand it to Emer for another 13 yards and another 1st down. They're now on UCF 7, where they then hand it off to Garcia. He'll get 7 yards and a touchdown for Princeton as they will tie the game up with the extra point. So Princeton, ground and pound, is starting to wear down Central Florida's D-line. Colin Burrell of Princeton kicks it off out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. And with 7:47 left in the half, Central Florida has another chance to prove their offense has what it takes. Hughes hands it to Holcombe, and Holcombe finds a hole and rushes for 9. They'll hand it to him again. He gets 3 yards and a first down. At their own 37 now. They'll hand it off to Holcombe again for 5. They'll give it to Jacob Johnson, and he finds 3 yards, but 2 flags are down on the field. It'll be illegal formation and holding on the offense, both. They'll take the holding over the illegal formation, and it'll cause it to be 2nd and 15 again. So UCF, more mental errors that are costing them. So Greg Hughes in a hole now. He drops back to pass, but it's no problem for him as he finds Jacob Johnson, 25-yard gain, and he'll be tackled, forced out of bounds into Princeton territory now with 6:55 left in the half. Princeton 43. Hughes back to pass. Rolls right. He'll fire it short, but Thomas Holcombe thought it wise not to catch that one as the defender was draped over him. So it'll bring up 2nd down. They'll hand it off to John Brown, gets nothing. John Brown again gets 9, so it'll be 4th and 1. And UCF decides they're going to do a Princeton and they'll stay on the field. They're in the I formation, and they will just ground and pound this one, give it to Holcombe, and he only gets 1 yard, but they rule it enough for the first down, and they'll start on the 33 again. So Hughes, back to pass. He's looking, and again fires deep to TJ Osborne. One-on-one, he jumps up and gets it for 25 yards and another first down. They'll be on the Princeton 8 now in the red zone. As Greg Hughes drops back again, takes an underneath to John Brown, but good job by Princeton to stop him from getting in the end zone, as he'll be tackled on the 3. UCF snaps it and hands it to TJ Osborne on 2nd and goal, but the D line was all over him. He'll lose 2, and it'll bring up 3rd and goal on the 5. On the 5 for 3rd down, you'd think they'd pass it, but that's what they want you to think. Greg Hughes will just hand it off to John Brown. He finds a hole and 5 yards for the touchdown. And Princeton is so upset by that, they call a timeout. I don't know why they do that, but they call a timeout. David Jenkins kicks the extra point, and it is now 14-7 UCF as they take the lead right back. David Jenkins kicks it back off for a touchback. That's the 4th straight touchback. No one's returned it today at all, and everyone's fair caught the punts. So no return game so far. 2:59 left in the half. Princeton back on the field again with their run game. They'll rush for 5. They'll rush for 2. They'll proc the 2-minute warning. And then they'll get the first down with Emer for a 9-yard run. The Princeton 41 now. They'll snap, drop back, and find Dre Willis they lose 1 yard on the screen play. And then they'll hand it off again and call timeout after gaining 5. So Princeton has no clock management here, it seems. On 3rd and 6, their own 45, he'll back to pass, but this time he throws it deep, a rare thing for Jack McPherson, as it's very underthrown, but Trenton Carrion goes back to get it. He'll be caught downfield to the UCF 30, and Princeton takes their final timeout with 1:10 left on the clock. McPherson snaps it, drops it back, and again finds Trenton Carrion, his now number 1 wide receiver on the day. He catches it for 23 yards to the UCF 7 with about a minute left. He'll hand it to Emer. Emer gets 2. He'll hand it to Garcia, and then Garcia gets the rest, the final 5 yards, and a touchdown for Princeton. Colin Burrell kicks the extra point, and we are tied once again. This time, the Princeton air attack is getting them yardage. 57 seconds left. Burrell kicks it off to the 1-yard line, and Dayton Pearson returns it for 20 yards to the 21, and they'll start with 54 seconds left. UCF snaps it, Greg Hughes to John Brown. He only gets 3, and then they'll call a timeout. So a little bit of a weird call there. They'll then hand it for 1. Another weird call. It seems like they're ready to go to half, but instead, on 3rd and 6, Greg Hughes drops back and fires it to Jacob Johnson. And after getting 15 yards and a first down, they decide they want to hurry now. So they hurry up to the line, they snap it, and the defense was not ready as Jamal Shaw is called for offsides. That gives them another free 5 yards, and the clock will stop. So great for UCF. They get a play call in, and Greg Hughes is back to pass again. And the corners are just they're not doing great today, as he finds Jacob Johnson wide open down the field for 20 yards and gets out of bounds. Or no, they don't get out of bounds, and UCF calls a timeout with 34 seconds left. On the 35 now. Hughes snaps it, and he takes the underneath to Thomas Holcombe, who jukes a man and gets 10 yards for the first down. And with 19 seconds left, they decide they're just going to get the kicker out there. And David Jenkins comes out onto the field after they line it up with a run, and he kicks a 44-yard field goal up through the uprights. It'll be 17-14 at half. Wait, is Loomis here? Was he here for a second? Did he just leave? Okay, well, we're just going to go straight to the third quarter here. Colin Burrell of Princeton just kicks it off to the 8-yard line, and Pearson takes it out to the 22 before being tackled. And Greg Hughes lines up after the half and decides that the run game has worked well for them. They'll give it to Holcombe, who gets some blocks. He's got some room. The defender is just not there, and Holcombe is down the sideline. He will find 35-40, 45-50 tackled after 63 yards rushing for the Central Florida Golden Knights on that single play. And 50 seconds get taken off the clock, and they'll get the ball at the Princeton 15. Greg Hughes snaps the ball again. The defense is not ready, and Jacob Johnson is wide open in the end zone. He just gives them a simple little throw, very weak throw, and Jacob Johnson catches it in the end zone for a touchdown. And that's 2 plays, 78 yards, and a touchdown. So UCF kicks the extra point, and they're up 24-14. So David Jenkins will kick off for a touchback, and on the kickoff, Matthew Polk for Princeton is injured. He's their linebacker, but it does not seem serious, and he might even be back later in the game. So Princeton starts on their own 25, and Jack McPherson drops back to pass. And he's looking downfield, but he can't find anyone, and he gets hit as he throws. But his offensive lineman will knock it back up into the air, where Brenton Frost will catch it, and then they get tackled for a loss of 4 for Princeton. So a little bit of a circus play there. We'll bring up 2nd and 14. McPherson snaps it and hands it to Garcia, after that deciding that the run play is the game that they want to play. He gets 5 yards. And a little bit of slow movement to the line here, as Princeton will be forced to call timeout or be caught for delay of game. So they do so. And on 3rd and 9, a conservative play call from Princeton just to hand it off to Emer. He gets 7 yards, but not enough for a first down, and they will punt the ball. Justin Brown, 55-yard punt. John Brown, 24-yard return. And they will start on their 36, up 10. Greg Hughes hands it off to John Brown. He gets 4. They'll hand it off again. They'll get 2. And then on 3rd and 4, Hughes drops back to pass. And as is consistent for the day, he finds Jacob Johnson again 20 yards downfield, who will get tackled by the safety. So they'll get the ball now on Princeton's 38. They'll hand it to John Brown, and with all these passes, he'll have some room to run. He gets 8 yards upfield before being tackled down. Hughes snaps it again. He'll fake the run, back to pass. He'll fire it again to Jacob Johnson. He finds 28 on that completion and gets shoved out at the 2-yard line. And Princeton just has no answer for Jacob Johnson this game. He has an absurd amount of yards. And on first and goal on the 2, they just hand it off to Holcombe. He gets in for the touchdown, and UCF is now up big as they kick the extra point. They're up 31-14. And the O lineman for UCF, Andrew Irby, is not good on the extra point. He is on the turf. We'll check on him now. He seems to be just fine after that. He seems he'll just sit out the game and he'll be fine. So Devin Jenkins kicks it off to the 2-yard line, and Horry gets out to the 18, and they'll start there. McPherson, down by 17, they know they need something, so he'll finally grow a pair and fire it downfield to Matt Johnson, who catches it one-on-one before being absolutely smacked by the defender. But he'll hold on, and that'll be a first down. He'll hand it off to Garcia, and Garcia finds some room this time. He'll get 11 yards and a first down. And they're on their own 48 now. He'll drop back to pass, and it'll be an incomplete throw out of bounds. And then they'll hand it off to Parker Garcia again on second down. He finds another 11 yards and a first down into UCF territory on the 41. After a Damian Gay false start, they'll hand off to Garcia, and he'll get 7 to make it 2nd and 8. McPherson scrambles for 1, and then they hand it off to Emer, who only gets 1. So on 4th and 6 to the UCF 37, Colin Burrell comes out for a 54-yard attempt. Let's see what his numbers are on the year. So for Princeton, their kicker, Colin Burrell, for a 54-yard field goal. He has 4 field goals this year. He's 4 for 6. 66%. He has attempted 1 from 50 and not made it, and he's missed 1 from 40. So it would be making up for another 50-yarder he missed in another game as he kicks up for 54 yards up, and it is good. That would have been good from 62 as Burrell buries this one in between the uprights to make it 31-17. Central Florida still leads. 4:04 left in the third. Burrell will just kick for a touchback. So Central Florida's back out there. Hughes will snap it on first down and he'll draw it away. On second down, he'll hand it to Holcombe, who gets 6 yards, and it'll bring up 3rd and 4. Hughes will then hand it off to Holcombe, who gets to the near sideline and finds 9 yards before being shoved out at the UCF 40. Hughes will hand it to John Brown, 14 yards, and another first down, as Princeton's defense doesn't seem to have an answer lately for this Central Florida offense. On the 46 of Princeton, they will throw an incompletion. They will false start. And on 2nd and 15, he's back to pass again. He will find Chase Gooch underneath, who gets 5 and then stretches it to 9 yards on 2nd down to make it 3rd and 6. And on 3rd and 6, they'll hand it off to John Brown, who gets absolutely stuffed. No room to go. And to boot, they'll call holding, which Princeton declines. So it'll be 4th and 6, and they will punt. 51-yard punt for a touchback, and Princeton gets the stop they need. With 1:14 left in the quarter, though they are down 14, and the time is not their friend. Jack McPherson back to pass. He fires to Trenton Carry-On, who does not come up with it. It'll be incomplete. He then hands it to Emer, who finds 4 yards after a little push by the O-line, and he will get dragged down after that. So it'll be up 3rd and 6. They hand it to Emer again, but this time he will find a hole, and he will rush through that gap for 9 yards and a first down, and that'll end the quarter. So at the end of 3, the score is 31-17 Central Florida, and Princeton is driving on their own 33, but the time is not their friend as they are a run offense and they need a lot of points in this game. Jack McPherson will hand it to Emer. He finds 4 yards, and McPherson drops back to pass. This time he'll find Carry-On for 9 yards and a first down. They will throw an incompletion, and then on 2nd down, hand it to Parker Garcia, who finds a hole and trucks some defenders before getting a first down at 14 yards into UCF territory on the 40. McPherson will take a little underneath pass for 6 yards to Dre Willis, and then on 2nd and 4, McPherson's back to pass again, and his offensive coordinator wants him to be more aggressive, so he will fire it down the field to Dre Willis, who will catch it, and the defender misses the tackle, and Dre Willis will walk into the end zone, 34 yards and a touchdown, but there is a flag, and the ref will call holding on Trenton Carry-On, who I think is a receiver. Carry-On is the receiver, so he holds the defender away from that pass, and they'll call that, and it'll bring back the score, and it'll bring it back to 2nd and 14 on the UCF 44. So not a good break for UCF or for Princeton. A good break for UCF as they are brought back, but they'll hand it off to Garcia. Garcia will get 8, and on 3rd and 6, Emer is given the ball and he'll lose 1. So Colin Burrell comes out again to attempt another 54-yard field goal. And again, he kicks it up and it goes right down the middle. So we have a 31-20 score now as Princeton brings it just a little bit closer. Colin Burrell is carrying this team on his foot right now. 10:07 left in the game. Colin Burrell will kick it off to the 4, and Dayton Pearson will bring it out to the 19. So not a good return. He should have caught that. UCF hoping to run the clock out. They'll hand it to Okombe. He loses 2. They'll hand it to Okombe again, who gains 10. And then they'll give it to Okombe a 3rd time to get the first down. Just melting the clock away on their own 30. They'll hand it off to Okombe to get nothing. Give it to John Brown to get 4, and then Okombe again for 5. So just like that, the clock has wound down all the way to 5:48. And UCF, on 4th and 1, instead of being aggressive, they're up 11, so they decide to make it harder on Princeton. They will punt, and after an illegal shift on the punt somehow, they punt at 35 yards, but Parker Garcia catches it in open field, and he jukes the defender. He's got the sideline. He'll get 30, 40, 44 yards on the return before getting pushed out on the Central Florida 25. So a great break for Princeton as they have it in UCF territory after the bad punt blocking by UCF. So 5:38 left, and Princeton's down 11, but they have good field position. McPherson drops back, and he'll fire it to Brenton Frost on a little screen. He will find 8 yards before being pushed out. And on 2nd and 2, they'll hand it off to Garcia, who gets 5 yards and a first down. They'll drop back the pass on the 12 and find Harvey underneath for 9 yards. Not quite a first down, but it'll bring up 2nd and 1 on the 3. So Princeton's knocking on the door now. They won't be aggressive. They just hand it to Garcia again, who gets 1 yard for the first down, but you have to wonder if this run game is taking too much time off the clock. There's 2:27 left in the game now. You got to be quicker than that, Princeton. This is crazy. So on first and goal on the 2, they'll hand it off to Garcia, who will get 2 yards and the touchdown. And Princeton will call a timeout on the touchdown. So I don't know what that is, but they do. And Garcia is back out onto the field for a 2-point conversion attempt. They're down 31-26, so this make it a field goal game. So Princeton will give it to Jack McPherson, and he'll snap the ball back, fire to Kendall Emer very early, but the receiver was not there in time. It'll sail over his head, and it'll be incomplete. So 2-point conversion will fail. So Princeton, with 2 minutes and 25 seconds left, decides not to try the onside kick, and they kick it off to the 8-yard line, where Dayton Pearson will return it 23 yards. So 1 first down wins the game for Central Florida, as Princeton has only 1 timeout left. So Greg Hughes will hand the ball off, and John Brown finds 14 yards easily and a first down, but Princeton calls a timeout early. So that's the only scenario in which I guess a first down does not win them the game, because their first play was a first down. A good problem to have, I guess. So for some reason, UCF decides they're going to pass the ball, and it'll be incomplete, of course. I mean, because they always are in these scenarios. Don't know why you're passing, but you are. So on 2nd and 10, they take a 5-yard run, and it'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. And on 3rd and 5, for the game here, if they get it, UCF will win. If they don't, Princeton will have a chance to score and win. 1:59 left in the game. On the 50-yard line, they line up in I formation. It looks like they're just going to run and take the clock down. So Greg Hughes will just get it to Holcombe, and Holcombe finds a hole. He's get grabbed by a defender. He's grabbed by 2 defenders, but he's keeping his feet moving. The offensive line is pushing. He's pushing, and they will find the first down that they need. Greg Hughes will kneel 3 times, and UCF will survive the late comeback tried by Princeton. The UCF stays unbeaten, and Princeton cannot find the win they need to keep in the division race. They have 2 losses now, and a division win is seemingly out of grasp for them.